wrapping up week 6. We're about to do our weigh-ins. You guys are going to jump on the scale, see how we did this week. So let's get our weigh-ins started.
Myrna Lopez, 174.4.
Jerry Merrick, 214.8.
Kia, 182.8.
Hi Carmen, this is Catherine. $139.2.
Carmen Afia, 198.8.
Pam Shumway, 150.6.
Heather C, 219.5.
Heather N, 239.8.
Adesla Liho, 197.1. 97.1.
Good morning, Coach Carmen. This is Ken Brown. I am at 188.8.
I'm in Carmen.
Zach, 210.4.
All right, I have some standings. Anyone want to hear the standings?
Yes.
A couple people. All right. In 13th place, down 13.5 pounds, 5.79%, Heather C. In 12th place, down 10.5 pounds, 6.52%, Pam. In 11th place, down 9.8 pounds, 6.67%, Corey. In 10th place, down 13.8 pounds, 7.33%, Myrna. In 9th place, down 11.2 pounds, 7.39%, April. In 8th place, down 16 pounds, 7.5%, Adesua. In 7th place, down 11.6 pounds, 7.72%, Catherine. In 6th place, down 16.6 pounds, 8.32%, Kia. Kia, you moved for someone who started off in last to move all the way up to 6th place. You just continue to make
That's
your
awesome.
Right up. Who's ahead of her this week? Oh, 5th place. Every week she's come for somebody else. In 5th place, down 19.2 pounds, 8.8%, Afia. In 4th place, down 25.8 pounds, 9.71%, Heather N. In 3rd place, down 31.1 pounds, 13% exactly, Mr. Zach. In 2nd place, down 36 pounds, 14.35%, Jerry. And in 1st place for the 3rd week in a row, down 37.2 pounds, 16.34%, Ken Brown. Ken was also our biggest loser for the week, losing 7.4 pounds last week.
Wow.
So,
wow. That's awesome.
I know. I'm like, what the frick, dude? Like 6 weeks in and he has a big drop like that, you know? And so awesome job to everybody. A grand total last week of 40.5 pounds, 252.3 pounds in the past 6 weeks. That is a lot of fat cells that we have made cry. One of the things, and we're going to be touching on this several times throughout our time together, because it really is that important. And if you could, I hesitate to say that if you could take one thing away from this group, this would be the thing I would hope you'd leave with, because there's a lot of good things, but this is the thing that I'm probably going to pound into you over and over and over again, because I know that we are fighting a lifetime of programming. We are fighting our environment that is around us. We are fighting the training and the programming that we've had previously. We're fighting, like we talked about last week, habits. Many of us have a bad habit of doing this. But what I will tell you is if you can get a hold on this, this one thing, everything in your life will change. When you look at the difference between people that are succeeding and people that aren't, the biggest difference when they've studied their brains is the way they think. The way they think. The biggest difference between someone who is succeeding and somebody who is not is the way they think. Okay? And the way we think, what does the way we think dictate?
Everything.
Somebody said everything.
Yeah, what we do, every action that we take.
Yeah, it dictates our words, our actions, everything. It really does. And so, it is so super important. And when you guys hear us say that life and death is in the power of the tongue, what you speak is a reflection of what you think. It's a reflection of how you think. And believe it or not, how you think is a habit. How you speak is a habit. And so when I first decided that, you know what, I was really done playing around, and I was done fighting with this weight, and I was done being morbidly obese, and I was done setting a bad example for my family, and I was done, talking the talk and not walking the walk. I was done with half-hearted commitment. I was done with saying one thing and doing another. I was done with New Year's resolutions that said I was going to lose weight and then I never did. I was done with quitting. There was a whole bunch of things that I was done with. I had just gotten to a point where I was fed up. But being fed up isn't enough. Because how many of you have ever, prior to this program, have ever gotten to a point where you were fed up before? Anyone ever gotten to a point where you just fed up? Okay. And then you went on a diet, you started working out, and how did that end up working out for you? Well, it didn't, because you're here. Right? I got fed up a lot, a freaking lot. There's a lot of times that I'm like, that's it. I'm done with this freaking, pesky pounds following me around. And then, a couple months later, I was right back where I started. And so the one thing that you really, and here's what I will tell you, nothing, again, we talked about last week, that the only habits that form on their own are bad habits. The habits, the good habits, those take conscious decision, those take effort, those take planning, those take they take commitment, they take all of those things. And so tonight, I want to really dive in a little bit deeper to life and death is in the power of your tongue. Life and death is in the power of your tongue, because repetition is the mother of skill. The more you hear this, the more it's going to sink in. And I can tell you just through listening to the Marco Polos, nobody has even come close to mastering this yet, and that's okay. That's why we are here. And so I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you an example of what it looks like to master the power of your tongue. Okay. So a couple weeks ago, and this is something that we're all in different stages. I am extremely focused on what I say. I am extremely conscious of what I say. And so I'm going to give you guys some examples, and then we are going to do some brainstorming together on things we're saying and then how we should be saying it. So how we're saying something and how we should be saying it, because your words, whether you know it or not, they have life. And so again, I want you to imagine if your mouth was a seed shooter, if every time you spoke, there were seeds flying out of your mouth. It's a very funny visual in my brain. And they were flying out of your mouth every time you spoke. And when a seed goes into the ground, if I go outside and I'm throwing a bunch of watermelon seeds on the ground. The only way to get rid of the seeds, if I don't pick them up, there's a couple ways. I can either pick them up, I can round up them, I cannot water them. But what's better? That creates way more work, doesn't it? So what's better? Just don't throw the freaking seeds in the first place, right? Unless I want watermelons. But if I want corn, or if I want tomatoes, or if I want bananas, but I'm throwing watermelon seeds down, no matter how much I pray, no matter how much I curse the watermelon, No matter how much I want the bananas, if I'm throwing down watermelon seed, what am I going to get?
Watermelon.
I'm going to get watermelon. They are literally the most powerful tool you have to fight. They're the most powerful weapon you have. Are your freaking words. They're your words. Sending my daughter a couple weeks ago. I think I told you guys about this. She says, Mommy, we're going to a tournament. Mommy, I'll be happy with 3rd place. I would be happy with just a bronze medal. Well, if my daughter's going to a tournament to get a bronze medal and her words are focused on a bronze medal, guess what she's going to fight for? Guess what she's going to settle for?
Right.
A bronze freaking medal.
Okay.
And it's like, no, babe, we're Quins. We don't settle for 3rd. We're going to win. And if something happens and you don't win, we'll cross that bridge when we come to that. But we're going to win. And you have what it takes to win. Because your brain doesn't know the difference between a truth and a lie. It only knows what you tell it. It only knows what you tell it. So if my daughter's telling, and your brain's job is to try to move you closer to what you want. Closer to what you want and away from what you don't want. So life and death and the power of the tongue. There were 3 things that I started doing when I recommitted to losing weight. The first one that I did after knowing this principle through business is I said, no more speaking death about anything about this weight loss journey. No more speaking death about your workout. No more speaking death about the food that you're choosing to eat. No more speaking death about by the way, complaining speaking life or death?
Death.
So no more complaining about anything. No more complaining. So if I'm complaining, hear me. If I'm complaining, the person I want to be is the person, and the person you want to be. Is it somebody full of energy or somebody who's tired?
Full energy.
Full of energy.
Full of energy.
But how many of you have caught yourself saying before, I'm exhausted? I'm just exhausted. Oh, I'm so tired. Is that speaking life or death?
Death.
What about this one? Oh, I'm so hungry, I could eat a cow. Oh, I'm starving. I'm famished. Oh, I gotta get something. Man, it's been 5 hours, Carmen. I mean, if I don't get something, I am gonna have a splitting headache. I'm gonna get the shakes. Anything else I'm forgetting when it comes to what's gonna happen if you don't eat? Anything that you guys have said that I'm missing? No. So do you know you can go 21 days without food? 21 days without food. So I'm so sorry. If it's been a day, are you really starving? If it's been 3 hours, are you starving? If it's been 5 hours, are you starving? No, you're not starving. You're completely 100% fine. And just to remind myself of this, twice a year, I drink water for a whole day and nothing else. Just to remind myself how fine I am without any food for 24 hours. And I don't necessarily enjoy it. Believe me, I got 280 pounds by liking food, right? Like you don't wind up morbidly obese because you don't like to eat. And so, but it's to remind myself, Carmen, food is fuel. It's not medicine. Food is fuel. It's not medicine. So if I want to be, again, so if I'm saying after 3 hours of not eating or after 6 hours of not eating or after 8 hours of not eating because I forgot my shake, I forgot my salad, I forgot my cucumbers, I'm starving, is that speaking life or death over following the program? How does a starving person act?
Irrational.
Give me all the food, right? Have you ever actually seen a starving person get food? They devour it. They like don't even really fully chew their food. They're like shoveling it in. Does a starving person make good decisions with their food when they do eat?
Oh.
No. And so guys, and listen, I know for most of us, these are things we've said. These are things we say without even thinking. These are things we say without even thinking.
What has surprised me most in the last 6 weeks is that when I am caring and loving for my body, I have had more rewards than I ever even knew. I changed my water intake and my food choices, and all the pain left my body. That was very amazing, and it has helped keep me on track because the rewards have so totally outweighed any of the work in the learning curve that there was. And now I just feel really blessed, and I've been saying it on the Marcos that this is just so amazing, this feeling of, I'm not even sure how to articulate it or what the right adjectives are for it, but it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing and good.
What has surprised me most about myself in the past 6 weeks, honestly, I would say the first one would be that I can actually drink a gallon of water a day. I was so convinced that I couldn't have more than 5 cups a day. I mean, that was a really good day for me. So the fact that I have been consistently almost every day hitting that gallon of water a day goal is honestly, it's huge for me. And that I can do hard things. I didn't realize that I actually could do hard things, that I am capable of taking care of myself. I am capable of meal planning, healthy meals, sticking to the plan, even with temptations of having 1,000 children in and out of the home. I can do it. So really the two that came out first were that I can drink a gallon of water a day and that I can do hard things.
What has surprised me most over the last couple of weeks about myself, one, that I'm still learning about healthy eating. I think that over my entire life, I've thought that I've known how to eat healthy or to be on a diet, and I am still learning. And what I have learned up to this point before starting this program really wasn't accurate. And so I'm still learning that, that I have a lot of growth to do. The other thing that I am learning about myself is that I really do need carbs. And for a very long time, I thought, I don't need carbs. They make me feel inflamed. They make my knees hurt. They make me bloated. And so I have started to really appreciate carbs, and that again is just a fallacy about diet. So I've learned that I am still learning. I do not have this all figured out, that I am really leaning into my growth mindset, specifically with regard to diets. And I am learning that I love foods that I swore off forever.
I have learned that being hungry is not deprivation. And I can remember being in my 20s, in my late 20s, and going to the doctor and saying, look, I'm overweight. I don't like this. What should I do? And the doctor said, you're a pretty big girl. I think you should be on like a 1,200 calorie a day diet. And I was pissed. I was like, okay, first of all, I told you I was overweight, and calling me a big girl is kind of rude. But he's insane if he thinks 1,200 calories is an appropriate number of calories. If you're eating healthy foods, it's 1,200 calories is a lot of eating. It's a lot of chewing anyway. And I can do my life without a bag of Doritos in my car, or without a Whopper in the, while I'm running my errands. Hunger is not deprivation. Hunger is literally a signal. It's a signal. It's your brain telling you something. Ugh, I don't know. I have a lot of siblings, and we never were deprived, but I don't know. My mother just fed us really healthy food. And when we moved to town, she took all the sugar out of our diet. And when we moved to town when I was 11 or so and got my first job, I spent every penny I made on sugar. And I don't miss it. I don't miss it. Hunger is not deprivation. And I don't need to have food at my fingertips every waking moment of the day. And this is the biggest surprise to me.
So my one thing was really be how easy this has been, meaning following a process, Carmen, to get results. And it's like I did everything wrong before, thinking that I was going to lose weight, that actually resulted in the opposite. So much like what was mentioned, Via mentioned about carbohydrates and fats. And so I was taking stuff out that was making my body go into starvation mode, is what I realized. I wasn't giving it what it needed. And it's been just frankly amazing. I can't believe that this is me right now. I told April that this week. I'm wearing a shirt that she bought me 2 years ago that I complained to her because when I put it on, Carmen, the buttons wouldn't close all the way. And now it's literally a size too big. And so just trying to get my mind where I'm at. My mind is not caught up where I'm at. I mean, it just hasn't. So the weight is coming off, and I'm fortunate for that. I don't know all the reasons why. I am working very hard at it, just like you guys are. But I guess I haven't been eating well thinking I was. Of course, probably eating one healthy meal a day and the other two through fast food places was not healthy, and giving myself excuses to do that, and probably drinking 1,200 calories a day, going through Starbucks and stuff and not paying attention to that. And I don't recognize myself. And I am going through, I'm on the other side of some of the things, and recognizing, April and I had a long talk this weekend, just body things that started showing. And so I'm just working through some mental things, as you said, where things start swinging a little bit that you don't want swinging. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. I'm stopping.
Yes, exactly. Awesome job.
I'm going to speak a little bit of life here, because this is something that has been the challenge in the past for me, but I am this week conquering it, is the consistency. So I'm getting this down of being very, very consistent, because that is where the results are. That's where success is. And so that's what I know, that I have to be consistent, and I will get even more results. So
what has surprised me most about myself in the past 6 weeks has been that I thought this process, even though I was looking forward to it, I thought it would steal time away. But what I've actually found is that it focuses the time and gives time back in terms of focus and energy and efficiency. I've also learned that I love exercise and eating well, eating healthy, prepping the food. And when prepping the food just takes a lot of the guesswork out. So it's like one less decision I'm having to make every day. Just oh, okay, that's what I'm eating today. Great, let's eat it and then move on. I think I also realized how it kind of showed me how afraid I was and how much anxiety I had over lots of different things. And which is probably another story for another day, but also realizing just how quickly the results have been, how quickly my body is looking good, and how quickly I have a lot more energy. The fact that I was able to race with my 3-year-old around the yard 7 or 8 times, it was something I wanted. And I thought that I'm an old dad, I'll never be able to do that. No, I wore him out.
The two things that shocked me the most, I was so terrified of not drinking alcohol or eating something different, or if I brought my own food, that everyone would just like laser focus on me and it would just be bad. And you know what happened? Nothing. No one cared. No one really noticed. Maybe like one or two close friends, that's it. The second thing that totally blew my mind, I thought that crossing over to 139-pound range would be this impossible uphill struggle. And then I did it and I'm like, oh my God, that was so easy. So now I know without question, I'm going to be at my goal weight and it's going to be easy and I'm going to have the best time ever.
So I wrote down some things so I wouldn't have to commit it to memory. The first thing was the discipline. What surprised me most about myself in the last 6 weeks is the discipline of working out, the integrity and the transparency that I brought to this transformation, the way I fell in love with the process, making myself a priority. And the fifth one was the meaningful friendships that I've developed with people in this group. One thing that struck me as I took it as a compliment, and I knew that's how he meant it. But Zach and I were having a conversation one day, and he said, "You know, I never thought I'd be friends with somebody like Jerry." So there you go. I mean, I think that this process had the ability to bring people together and to make friends with people that you never thought you would be friends with, you know? So I love that about what we're doing right now, and we're going through this together.
So what has surprised me most about myself in the past 6 weeks is that I thought I was this person who was just so random and couldn't do things the same way more than once. So what has surprised me most is that I have been able to be consistent for over 40 days. And I just didn't know that was possible.
Hi. So what surprised me the most over the last 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks, is that I could get under 200 pounds without the use of medication. I genuinely did not think it was possible. Then, as we all know, I staggered out there for like 2-3 weeks of this process, and I was like, see, I knew it wasn't going to happen. And then I actually was almost late turning my weight in because I was avoiding getting on the scale the day that I hit the 199s. So, and then not only that, I lost more weight this week. I was like, okay, cool. I got to 199. It wasn't going to happen. Yesterday I was at 196, and this morning I was at 197.1. So I was like, okay, cool. We can still go down. So that was huge for me. And I think the other major thing that you've all been able to witness is me turning desires into vision is something that's really happened. Like, I think I've always had the desire to do a lot of things, and I've always convinced myself I wanted to do those things, but to actually start to say, okay, I'm going to imagining myself and having the vision of what it's going to look like when I hit 140, 150. What is it going to look like when we get the cafe open, and how successful it's going to be? Like, the vision piece of it, I did not expect that in the holistic change that we're all going through. It's bigger than weight loss. You know, we're changing our minds, bodies, and souls. So thanks.
Hello. What surprised me the most about myself in the past 6 weeks is I can wake up at 5 a.m. I can meal prep. I do have the time to meal prep. And something that's been a huge healthy lifestyle. It's not just nutrition and exercise. Like, there's so much mindset where you're at with your thoughts, and telling us that our brain doesn't know the difference between a truth and a lie. So one that I never would have imagined saying is, I'm an athlete. And when I tell myself I'm an athlete, I get into it, I embody it, I'm an athlete, and I get what needs to get done.
Okay, so what has surprised me the most over the past 6 weeks? A couple of things. I am strong. I can do this. I am stronger than the junk food. And I broke through my weight loss barrier. So that's been the barrier that's been holding me back and thinking that I could never achieve it. And I broke through that this past week. And I'm stronger than the weekend.
So as we come into this week 7, we are officially at the halfway mark of the first 12 weeks. We're officially at the halfway mark. And so it's really important at this point to kind of stop and pause for a moment and look at, okay, like, look at all these things I've accomplished. Look at all these things, these dragons that I've slayed. Look at all the progress I've made. So that's the most important thing first. The second thing is, what do I want these last 6 weeks to look like? Here's how I started. This is how I started. What did I do good? What can I shore up? How will I finish? How will I spend these last 6 weeks? How committed? How dedicated? How focused? How will I finish? How will I finish? Because we're entering the last half of our phase 1. And it takes intention, it takes conscious decision and choice to finish strong. Starting strong is easier than finishing strong. Because in the very beginning, we have excitement. Now, you're no longer riding the high of, I can't believe I made it in. And the work has set in, right? It's lost a little bit of its luster. It's lost a little bit of its, oh my gosh, I'm in here, I'm doing this. And if we're not careful, what can happen is the thing we're excited about can start to become a chore. The thing we were so excited about can start to become a, oh, I have to, instead of I get to. I was chosen for. I was chosen to. I was handpicked for this moment in time to pivot my life in a different direction. And so I want to end with this. And this is a poem that I have hanging in my office. And I found this poem when I was 19 years old. And I was in a business, and I was in management, and I had made a bad decision, an immature decision inside of that business. And I was a manager at the time. And in that moment, I got demoted because of my bad decision. I got my keys taken away. I got my office taken away that I had worked really hard to get. And I found myself at night Googling how to quit. That was what I typed into Google, how to quit. Because in that moment I was humiliated, I was embarrassed, I was full of shame. And I ran across this poem. And it says, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt. You can never tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems afar. So stick to the fight when you're hardest hit. It's when things go wrong that you mustn't quit. And when I still say that poem, my whole body gets goosebumps. Because most people's lives, we quit when a hard moment hits us. And in these past 6 weeks, what I'm so proud of each and every one of you for is you've had hard moments. You've had moments where you might have entertained, or you thought, or the fleeting thing came through that said, you could just quit, you could just bow out, you could just do whatever. And you pressed through, you pressed on. In those moments where we want to give up, give in, and we want to give up, in those moments where we feel like we can't go on, this is too hard, Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt. And you can never tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems afar. When I was a morbidly obese woman, wanting with everything in me to be healthy, to set a good example for my kids, that healthy person seemed so far away. When I look back now, it was so much closer than I ever thought it was. Your dream body, your dream health, your dream blood pressure, your dream image of yourself, your dream wardrobe is closer than you think. So keep going, keep pressing in. This is not the time to pick our head up. This is not the time to slow down. This is the time to press in, to put our head down, and to finish these last 6 weeks stronger than we started.